Brand new knife and combat mechanics, a hidden weapon, secret difficulty mode, and new recipe system for combining items. There's so much to talk about, so let's go, legends. It's hard to believe that we are just over a week out from the release of the much anticipated Resident Evil 4 Remake, and the countdown is officially on. Even so, however, there's far too many days, hours, and minutes until we're hands-on with the full release for my taste. But fortunately for us mere mortals, Capcom and their infinite wisdom have graciously blessed us with the Chainsaw demo. And holy shit, what a demo it is. After playing it through a handful of times over the past few days, I'm absolutely blown away by the quality of gameplay that's on display here. And it's not just me. The demo has quite literally blown up online, and gamers are playing the absolute shit out of it, studying every inch of the playable areas and every frame of gameplay in order to master the game's new mechanics. Though the demo only features the first 10 to 15 minutes of the start of the game, it's easy to understand why gamers are sinking so much time into it despite the short runtime. It's absolutely packed full of new mechanics, hidden items, Easter eggs, and even a cheat code to unlock the elusive Mad Chainsaw difficulty, which either can unlock randomly through an old school button cheat code, or even a mod if you're part of the PC Master Race, haha. Anyway, that's enough blabbering from me, so let's dive in and see what all the fuss is about, shall we? The first and most obvious change in the remake are the knife mechanics, which have been completely overhauled with the introduction of both new offensive and defensive mechanics, and most importantly, a durability feature. On the offensive side, new execution attacks have been added where the player can successfully attack an enemy from behind if they've successfully approached them from stealth or after a successful stun or knockdown. On the defensive side, the knife can be used to repel enemies that have grabbed Leon, as well as block and even parry incoming enemy attacks, projectiles, and even a goddamn chainsaw. Rock on, baby! The flip side, however, is that each one of these techniques, depending on what it is, consumes a different amount of the knife's overall durability, which will eventually break once completed, just like the knife in the RE2 remake. This marks a major shift in how players will need to approach the game overall, because the knife is such a critical component of your toolkit. So much so that you feel completely vulnerable and almost naked without one. The knife changing from a staple unlimited resource in the original to a finite in-game item pickup in the remake adds a whole other layer of resource management and exploration, which I predict will undoubtedly impact speedrun routes, which will now need to account and be built around knife pickup locations and overall knife management. Not to mention the completely new layer of mechanics that have been added for players to master. Since a perfect parry will net you either a free assassination or a melee attack, mastering the parry timing of each of the different enemy attacks will give skilled players a huge advantage and will be absolutely pivotal to success on the higher difficulty levels. Such an awesome change overall, and huge props to Capcom for going above and beyond here. Next up, we have the game's hidden weapon in the TMP Machine Gun, and shoutouts to Devil Never Cry for showing me this one. By now, most people have probably seen this, but just in case you haven't, the TMP is located in the well underneath the village square combat area. But in order to get there, you need to drop all of your gear prior to going through the gates in order for the entrances to be open. Props to whoever the hell figured this one out, and I assume it wasn't part of the original, but if it was, please let me know in the comments because I am super curious. What's great about the TMP is once you've found it for the first time, you will always have it in your inventory for every future playthrough of the demo. And while it doesn't pack the biggest punch and it's not the most accurate weapon in the world, it's a pretty cool addition that Capcom didn't need to put there, and it's one extra weapon for us to fuck around with, which is an absolute win in my books. And of course, what demo will be complete without a hidden difficulty mode that pushes players to their absolute limits? Seriously, I have no idea who came up with this, but whoever it is, they're either an absolute genius or a goddamn monster. The Mad Chainsaw mode can either apply at random or via a button shortcut, which I've displayed on the screen here. It is worth noting that I do play on mouse and keyboard, and for whatever reason I noticed that the keyboard shortcut is horribly inconsistent. So for me, I used an Xbox controller to enter the code, and then I would just switch back to keyboard and mouse when I actually started playing. That was, of course, until I found a mod that allows you to enable the Mad Chainsaw difficulty at any time using the push of a button, as well as a host of other options to play around with. That's a discussion for another video though, so for now, I will just say, bless those modders, baby, they're doing God's work, haha. But Broly, you absolute legendary maniac, I hear you say, what does this difficulty actually do? Well, for one, it makes virtually every enemy encounter a goddamn death trap. Enemy movement and attack speed is buffed and near doubled, enemy recovery from stuns and staggers is virtually cut in half, and enemies overall seem to have more health and are much harder to stun. At this early stage in the game, which is basic equipment here, we are highly encouraged to not even engage with enemies at all and rely on stealth kills as much as possible. Admittedly, I found this difficulty incredibly frustrating at first, simply because the basic encounters are so one-sided and resource intensive. Even the first encounter with the two Ganados that ambush you after leaving the hunter's cabin, it's so easy to either sink all of your bullets and your knife's durability just to kill them. But that isn't, of course, until you realize that there's really almost no reward for actually engaging in these early encounters, and really the best strategy is just to skip them altogether. Just don't get caught sleeping at the wheel and step on that freaking bear trap. That one's gonna cost you. I've also heard rumors that this difficulty won't even make it into the final release of the game, but truthfully, I actually have no idea. So we're gonna have to wait and see for that one. I wouldn't be opposed, because I actually think it would be a really cool challenge to try and do the entire game like this, and I think it would be much more manageable once we get further into the game and get access to more powerful weapons and upgrades. The demo also gives us our first look at the new recipe system used for combining items, which is interesting to say the least. While the classic Resident Evil 4 and even the RE2 Remake, which I played, use the more traditional crafting system where you need to click on each of the different items individually in order to craft something new, what they've done in the RE4 Remake is introduce a brand new recipe submenu which contains a list of all the possible combinations of items that you can make based on what you initially clicked on. While the new recipe menu looks a bit clunky from a user interface perspective, I am curious to see how to work further into the game as we uncover new recipes and crafting materials. If the remake actually does feature more advanced crafting recipes that require various quantities of different items, the new recipe menu could actually prove to be a game changer and incredibly helpful indeed. Overall, I'm not 100% sold on it so far, but I am curious to see the different applications it'll have in the full release. And there you have it, legends. Though the content is brief, the Chainsaw demo is a perfect introduction into the remake's new mechanics. Honestly, dropping the demo 2 weeks before the release, packed with as much content as it is an absolute genius play by Capcom. Think about how many people who were on the fence about buying this game day one who have now already pre-ordered it after playing the demo. Not to mention, crafting the demo in the way they did with the hidden TMP and the extra hard mode has only increased internet chatter exponentially, meaning word of mouth and overall goodwill from the fans is at an all-time high. All in all though, the demo has been a ton of fun, and if nothing else, it's made me more excited than ever to play the full release of the game next week. Those are just my thoughts, however, and I'd love to hear yours. How are you enjoying the demo? Are you excited for the game? Be honest here, have you beaten Mad Chainsaw mode yet? I definitely haven't, but I'm so close and I will get there before the game drops next week. Until next time, stay awesome, you absolute legends. Peace.
Don't you dare say it, Jackpot!